Hi, I'm Hannah.
I'm Pat.
Alondra,
Erica,
and Yuji.
And the topic for this week's Culture Cast is the Japanese animated film Howl's Moving Castle.
Today, we have a special guest, Alyssa, who was asked to join us today to learn more about this film.
Hey everyone, I'm excited to be here.
Happy to have you.
Okay, so let's get started. Directed by the internationally renowned Hayao Miyazaki, this film takes place in a fantasy kingdom. The film follows the story of a girl named Sophie.
Who's Sophie?
Sophie is a responsible yet plain 18-year-old girl who, on her way to visit her sister, encounters a mysterious wizard named Howl. This encounter arouses the evil Witch of the Waste, who then transforms Sophie into a 90-year-old woman. The curse prevents her from telling anyone of her condition.
So what does she do?
Well, seeking for a cure, she flees into the hills.
Along the way, Sophie meets a scarecrow. She also passes a mysterious moving castle and enters it.
Oh, that's risky. What happens when she goes inside?
Well, in the castle, she meets an enchanted fire demon named Calcifer, who uses his abilities to power and move the castle. Calcifer recognizes that Sophie has been cursed.
Does he do anything about it?
Well, he offers to break the curse she's under in exchange for her help in breaking the contract that he's under. This contract that Calcifer made with Howl keeps him bound to the house. When Howl comes home, Sophie announces that she is the castle's new cleaning lady hired by Calcifer.
Meanwhile, in Sophie's home country, a war has started against a neighboring town because of the disappearance of the realm's crown prince, and Howl is summoned by the king to fight in this war.
Does he do it?
Not exactly. Howl comes up with the idea to send Sophie to pose as his mother to announce to the king that Howl is a coward and would be useless in the war. Once she's back at the palace, Sophie meets the Witch of the Waste. The Witch of the Waste is drained of her powers by Madame Solomon, Howl's former mentor, as a punishment for having a demon within her. The Witch of the Waste reverts into a harmless old woman with little memory of her past. Madame Solomon tells Sophie that Howl will meet the same fate if he does not contribute to the war.
As Sophie argues Madame Solomon's proposal, Sophie temporarily changes back to her younger self, but then shortly after regresses back to her older persona. Madame Solomon realizes Sophie's true relation to Howl and her romantic feelings towards him. Afterwards, Howl arrives to rescue Sophie while Madame Solomon tries to entrap Howl. However, with Sophie's help, they manage to escape. Sophie learns that Howl has many different identities other than his human form due to his internal demons.
Meanwhile, Madame Solomon uses many tactics to try to get into the castle, including bribing Sophie's mom into bugging her. Because of the war, Sophie moves everyone out of the castle and removes Calcifer from the fireplace, destroying the castle. The Witch of the Waste, who has been traveling with them, discovers Howl's literal heart within the flames of Calcifer. The Witch of the Waste then captures the heart, holding on to it and refusing to let it go. Sophie then pours water on Calcifer to make the witch let go of the heart, which ultimately causes Calcifer to lose his power.
As Sophie tries to find Howl's heart, she travels deep into his past.
Wait, really?
Yep, and this exposes how Calcifer came to get possession of Howl's heart. Sophie retrieves Howl's heart from the Witch of the Waste and gives it back to Howl as she physically places it in him. This resurrects him and frees him from Calcifer.
So what happens to Calcifer?
Well, Calcifer returns to his original state, a fallen star. After the Scarecrow saves their lives, Sophie kisses the Scarecrow and he instantly turns into the Lost Prince. The war is finally over and each of the characters lives happily ever after.
Wow, this is a really dynamic story. I wonder how the director came up with it.
Well, to understand the film, we have to take a deeper look into director Hayao Miyazaki's early life.
Growing up, Miyazaki worked in his family business called Miyazaki Airplanes, which manufactured parts for warplanes during World War II. He started his career as an animator in 1963 and was involved in many early classics of Japanese animation. He is responsible for the creation and production of many well-known films, such as My Neighbor Totoro and Spirited Away.
Later in his life, Miyazaki stated that he felt guilty that his family made a profit from Japan's efforts in World War II.
How does that play into things?
Well, this guilt is what inspires the anti-war theme that we see in most of his works today.
Additionally, many Hayao Miyazaki's works consist of female lead characters. Considered to be the Japanese Walt Disney, Miyazaki has been the recipient of many awards, including honorary academic award for his impact on animation and cinema, the Lifetime Achievement Award, and an Oscar for Best Animated Feature.
Oh, that's awesome. He sounds like he knows his stuff.
Yeah, I'd say so. But in January 14, 1998, Miyazaki announced that he would be leaving Studio Ghibli.
Why?
His eyesight was falling, and he believed that he could not guarantee as high a quality of art in his motion pictures as he wished. He intended to make small films for the Studio Ghibli Museum, insisting that the museum should be full of children being noisy, and to train young animators.
So was he gone for good?
No, not really. Because on January 16, 1999, he returned as the leader of Studio Ghibli, taking a strong role in asserting organizational discipline and focusing employees on their task. Using computer animation to help maintain artistic control of his creations, he directed The Cat Returns, which featured the Baron from Whispers of the Heart, and Lord Howl's Castle, based on the novel by Diane Wynne-Jones.
Now, that's what we talk about the director behind the film. Let's dive a little deeper into the film itself.
Sounds good to me.
So, in Howl's Moving Castle, there is a strong underlying theme of pacifism.
What's pacifism?
Pacifism is a strong anti-war attitude that is shown throughout the film.
Why is that present in the film?
This film is actually a Japanese response to the Iraq War. Director Hayao Miyazaki publicly stated that the film was a reaction to the widely unpopular Japanese involvement in the Iraq War. Marco Mueller, director of the Venice Film Festival, where it debuted, called the film the strongest anti-war statement we've seen in the whole festival.
But wait, how does the film correlate to the war?
Well, there are many examples throughout the film that criticize military conflict in a direct way. One example in particular is the scene where main character Sophie is standing in a beautiful field of flowers but is interrupted by a war machine.
Are there any other themes?
Yeah, aside from pacifism, an additional theme of the film is that of old age. The film goes against the stereotype of aged unattractiveness.
How is that shown in the film?
Well, throughout the film, despite the assumed misfortune of Sophie's old age curse, we see positivity surrounding the idea of growing old. Sophie embodies traits of maturity and intelligence throughout the plot. Furthermore, she is able to speak her mind more as a result of the spell. She ultimately saves Howl from himself and is depicted as being a powerful, heroic character throughout the plot.
So what else does the film have to offer?
Well, aside from the film's themes, there are many motifs and symbols present throughout. One example is the character Calcifer. This demon takes the shape of a fiery flame and is a symbol of transformation and war. Additionally, the moving castle can be seen as symbolizing the main character Howl.
How so?
Well, the castle is always moving and trying to hide, just like Howl. We also see the presence of love throughout the film. Howl gives Sophie a ring as a sign of his protection. We know rings are symbols of promise, love, and marriage, and this underlying love story between these two characters is a key driving element of the plot's actions.
That's true.
Something else to consider in assessing the film's motifs and symbols is the presence of supernatural elements such as the moving castle, witches, and curses, to name a few. The magic of this film keeps us both entertained and interested in what's happening.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Is there anything else about the film that I should know?
Well, another thing to consider in analyzing this film is its inclusion of many Western and Disney features.
Like what?
The recognizable Western elements include the transformative power of true love and some helpful magic sidekicks. In this case, the talking fire Calcifer and the Oz like Scarecrow. Its plot resembles many other Disney movies such as Beauty and the Beast because of the transformation of the character, The Wizard of Oz because Sophie sets out on a journey and meets a scarecrow, Alice in Wonderland because of a scene where Sophie falls, and The Princess and the Frog because of the transforming powers of the film's final kiss.
Wow, those are some weird coincidences.
One area in which the film doesn't embody traditional Western elements is the large presence of feminism.
Wow, that's interesting. How?
Well, that's a large focus on female characters. The movie conveys the idea that women cannot be simply categorized or stereotyped. Rather, female characters have very diverse characteristics and strong beliefs, which unfortunately is not common in typical Western movies. The main character in the movie, Sophie, is a female who journeys through the movie overcoming obstacles and saving the others in a powerful, heroic nature.
Yes, go Sophie. Can you tell me more about the form of the movie?
Well, as far as form goes, the most obvious and principal aesthetic element in this film is it being animated. We felt that the film's animated form evokes a juvenile sense to the movie, which ultimately sets the film apart from some of the more mature works we've read and watched in class. However, despite its juvenile form, the film speaks for a much more mature message, including Miyazaki's theme of pacifism. In a cultural context, the film incorporates many Western elements, even though it is a Japanese film.
Wow, so much analysis. I definitely learned a lot today.
That was the goal.
I look forward to watching the movie. I appreciate you guys having me here today.
Anytime. It was great to have you.
Well, for all those tuning in, that's it for us today. Join us next time as we explain to our guest, Henry Morello, the short story A Romantic Weekend.